Hey friends! So I know that Winem and Dynam have been out on the Switch for like a little bit at this point, but I haven't really had a chance to play the competitive yet. I've really just been like way more involved in playing the story. I didn't really expect to be so engaged by it, but I did finally get to the point where I needed to grind my bond with my Pokemon a little more for us to soul fuse, and I didn't really want to do that, so I did just take the opportunity to grab a quick game on the ladder. Since the game just came out, everyone's still just using all of the new Pokemon. Like, every third team you'll see is that one RMT the guy made of the team with Danglepuss and Butthead Bill. But, like, I'll have the entire generation to use shit like that if I want to. Right now, while everything's still unbanned, I might as well go ahead and take advantage of the fact that I can use, like, a fucking Mewtwo before that inevitably gets quick banned for making the game way too unfair, because when you see it you just want to stare at that thick girthy tail and it's way too distracting. Am I right? Am I right, guys? We're all thinking it, right? The offensive core is pretty standard. It's just a double electric spam core with Pikachu and Pichu. I know that everyone in the speculation thread was like pretty worried when Disney acquired Nintendo that the new Disney forms were just gonna run the meta. I did use the Han Solo Pikachu for a while, but I think in practice, the classic is just clearly way better. Jigglypuff, I know, is a pretty brain-dead defensive backbone to splash into your team, but honestly, it's just because you need to use it. Like there's so many threats in the meta for you to have to take into account, and really, I wanted to use it anyway, because I was really touched by the part in Winem and Dynam where, spoiler alert, I guess, Jigglypuff experiences the horrors of war firsthand, and then instead of battling Pokemon for the rest of the game, she has to battle the looming specter of mortality, and that mechanic was handled really well, and honestly, it's the first time Pokemon's made me cry, at least since a week ago when I was on the ladder and I remembered that I'm 24. I guess to get into this game, I did lead off with the Mewtwo. Honestly, I wanted to make this team around the Mewtwo ever since the leaks of the gameplay changes first came out. I think they really benefit Mewtwo, particularly because it got retyped to the new purple type, and it's got a lot of really strong purple moves at its disposal. Unfortunately, that doesn't really give it the edge against Jigglypuff, but that's also just because I gave it this weird physical lore set, which probably wasn't very advised, but I'm out here at the dawn of the generation just trying to innovate. I would say that really the greatest asset that Mewtwo brings to this team is probably the wretched tube that comes out of its head and goes to its back. Wretched Tube probably being my second most searched DeviantArt tag after Girthy Tail. Mewtwo just really satisfies a lot of checkboxes for me all around. Unfortunately for this guy, he is going to miss his rest here. I thought it was a pretty bold decision by Game Freak to nerf rest by reducing it to 30% accuracy. It does show a lot of recognition on their part that the only thing really holding Pokemon back was that there wasn't enough RNG in it. I tried to capitalize on the situation to swing the momentum in my favor, but unfortunately that's not really going to work out for me. Mewtwo is going to go down, so I do start off this game at a pretty bad disadvantage, but I'm going to try to pick the tempo back up from here. As you can see, I do switch in my Pikachu at this point. This guy's going to make a really good play, and he's going to double switch out of the Jigglypuff into the same Jigglypuff that he had out, which is honestly way too smart of a play for how low ladder this is. Unfortunately, he is going to get a taste of the new Stealth Rock mechanics. The way it works now, instead of calculating the damage based on how weak you are to rock, it calculates the damage based on if you're Jigglypuff, which is a pretty good buff to all of the almost good fire types, but it's a pretty bad nerf to Jigglypuff. I do manage to hit the Jigglypuff with an Electric Boogaloo right there. That's Pikachu's new Plus Ultra technique that you can unleash in Pokemon Winem and Dynam in order to devastate your foes on the field of battle. Unfortunately, it doesn't seal me the kill against this Jigglypuff. I'm starting to really appreciate that this thing is standard for a reason, But fortunately for me, I remember that Jigglypuff is indeed weak to steel, so I am able to take it out with the Iron Tail attack at this point, which is going to put me back in the game. I successfully managed to stop Jigglypuff from snowballing with its new Bear Boost ability. So this guy's actually going to go into one of the new Pokemon introduced in Winem and Dinem. This guy's got a Yoshi on his team. This Pokemon really hasn't made as much of an impact on the metagame as much as everyone thought it would. I think everyone thought this thing was going to be a lot better than it is. And even Nintendo obviously thought it was way better than it was because of how hard they made its evolution requirement for no reason. You have to beat the Elite Four 118 times using only submission, and then you have to talk to a girl for more than 5 minutes about something other than Pokemon speed tiers. And after all that, your reward is this thing, which doesn't honestly seem that worth it. Yoshi's greatest attribute that it brings to a team is probably the shoes, but even then, other Pokemon still do that way better, like Tangela. Honestly, he might see more use when they release his hidden ability, where he takes off the shoes and he uses his horrible dinosaur talons, because at least then he'll be able to, like, carve out his own niche for himself, even if it's not super applicable. Major props to Nintendo in the new games for listening to fan outcry and returning Pikachu back to Fat Pikachu. And honestly, the way that it's handled in the game, where Pikachu kind of completes his arc and overcomes his crippling body dysmorphia, was really tastefully executed, I thought. It's at this point in the battle that I start to realize that the damage that I'm doing to myself with Pikachu is really starting to add up. Maybe it wasn't a great idea to give my Pikachu Life Orb, but we can play through it. So right here I do find myself in a pretty good situation to go ahead and hit this guy with one of Pikachu's new moves. It's called Thunder Tall. It's a new move in the Thunder series with Thunder and Thunderbolt. Still not called Lightning Tall or Lightning Bolt. I've always kind of wondered about that, but I did check Bulbapedia the other day, and it has actually always been a mistranslation. The Japanese name for the move Thunder directly translates to Rock'em, Sock'em, Click and Shock'em. So I switched my Pikachu into this Pichu, and even though I'm not a Jigglypuff, I still take a bunch of damage coming in. I think that's just a simulator glitch. They're still kind of getting everything worked out for the new generation. Honestly, I'm glad that Showdown exists more than ever, because you can't even use entry hazards in Winem and Dinem without physically fashioning them with Nintendo Labo first. I don't know why this guy decided that Pichu was his Pikachu answer, just because there's physically more of me. I have greater mass. He's never gonna beat me. That's how the law of conservation of energy works. Probably. I didn't actually pay that much attention in high school physics class. I was way more busy filling my notebooks with drawings of dudes with swords and just KMFDM lyrics, because I was definitely that exact kind of angry white boy. I'm pretty angry right now, boy. I'm straight up steamed. I can't do anything about this Pichu. Furious. I wish I had the kind of poke-aim clout to get this fucker Ubers by usage. The new tree mechanic, where sometimes a tree is there, has been one of the more controversial changes, but I gotta say, right now, as a completely unbiased observer, it's pretty dang cool and good if you ask me. So honestly, at this point, I realize that my Pikachu is pretty much on the ropes, and there's no reason for me to try to preserve it for later in the game at this point. I might as well just maintain my momentum by getting as much damage off on this Pichu as possible. It's pretty hard because we both have Lightning Rod, so we can't actually use our good moves against each other. We just kind of have to throw our bodies together. But Sometimes you just need to keep throwing body parts against each other until you really got yourself figured out. I'm gonna make the play here and counterpick his little guy with my own little guy. That was mostly done for the flex, but also partly just to connect this string of rats in an endless Rat King type situation. If you don't know what a Rat King is, by the way, don't look it up, because you're gonna be thinking about it for the rest of your life, and you really won't want to. This play right here was for the fans, and not to brag, but it's probably not only the most intelligent thing ever achieved with a Pichu, but probably the most intelligent thing that humanity has ever been responsible for. Scott the Scout, definitely small in stature, but big where it counts. His hog. That was one of Pichu's new moves in Wine 'em and Dine 'em. It's called Put the Toes Out. It's pretty good. I think it's probably going to form like the cornerstone of Pichu's strategy in OU going forward. So completely off the strength of my electric spam core mutually wall breaking for each other, I'm now officially up an entire Pokemon in terms of Pokemon economy. And Scott the Scout isn't even looking that bad for it. I would say that my favorite thing about Pichu is definitely the ears. Conversely, my least favorite thing about Pichu is that the ears aren't spiky enough. My desire for a Pichu with spikier ears roars within me like a raging tempest, but I don't know if Game Freak can really help me out in that regard. Pichu is so much smaller than Mewtwo. It's actually ridiculous. This is a constitutional crisis. Mewtwo doesn't even need to be big. It's not like he needs to pick up anything from like a high place. He just needs to use his mind. He's given so much that he doesn't even need. Pichu's given so little that he does so much with. Pichu truly inspires me every day. Not in like any particular direction, you know, he doesn't really inspire me to do anything. I guess I just think about Pichu and I'm inspired to not be a small rat creature. So I'm just gonna be real with you. This part of the battle isn't great. It's not great for me. It's not great for you. It's not great for this guy. We really just spend like 30 turns here, just kind of playing grab ass with each other, because our movesets really don't let us hurt each other that much, which of course means that given a whole shitload of turns, we end up hurting each other a bunch cumulatively, which is kind of like, it's like a metaphor for human relationships, kinda, you know? Because if you just shoot someone, they're not gonna want to be in your life anymore. So you just inflict minor emotional damage instead, which isn't gonna be enough to repel them from you. So you keep them in your life, and you continue to inflict emotional damage at regular intervals, which, on a long enough time frame, will give you that damage anyway, but you get to maintain a sense of power over them for an extended amount of time that you don't find in other facets of your life. What was this video about? I would say Pichu's greatest asset is how much disgustingly larger its head is than the rest of its body. Because that just means that all of your, like, calories just goes straight to your brain, so you can make really good decisions. Like getting hit with Mewtwo's psychic attack 3 times, but it's actually genius because you're just doing it to condition him. He is going to go ahead and land the 4th Psychic on me here, but this one isn't quite going to kill me due to my immense skill and resolve. But I really wish it did, because I truly just want this exchange to be over. I just want my life to be over. I guess the haters will probably tell me that I could have just switched out, but no. If you're doing something for a while, you might as well keep doing it, you know? Especially if it's competitive Pokemon. Or gambling. So here's the first new Winem and Dinem Pokemon that I have on my team. Donkey Kong. I think that like once the meta settles down a little bit, people are definitely just gonna settle back into the old standards for the most part, but this guy definitely has potential. Like, I can't think of a Pokemon that is more obviously representative of power creep than this thing, because, like, he's bigger than the old Pokemon, faster, he's stronger, too. I know that, like, the next team I build, this guy's definitely gonna be the first member of the crew. Like, if anything, this guy's just gonna keep getting better, because, like, Shodan hasn't even implemented the ability yet that lets him fire his moves in bursts. I honestly think that this guy is going to be pretty unhealthy for the meta going forward, mostly just because he sets a really unrealistic body image standard. Like, Donkey Kong has the same waist ratio that really made me feel a certain way about Meg scenes in Disney's Hercules when I was a kid. Actually, Mewtwo kind of sets a pretty unrealistic standard too, now that I'm looking at it. Mewtwo's hips are crazy. He's got hips all over the place. Mewtwo's kind of thick, boy. Unfortunately for this guy, not quite thick enough to survive that last Mega Kick, but like, DK is pretty strong. I mean, if he hits you, it's gonna hurt. So now this guy's gonna go out into his next Pokemon, which is Luigi. So now we got a fucking Pokemon battle, boys. I know this thing fucked me up so bad when the rival used it against me the first time in game. Of course, that's before you figure out that, spoiler alert, that the rival actually isn't real, and he's just a manifestation of your ennui with society and your repressed urge to break free from its shackles. If I had to describe Luigi in one word, it would probably be standard. He's a pretty unremarkable Pokemon overall. They even got Ken Sugimori to oversee the design, so he really has that like classic Pokemon feel about him. People on the forums keep asking how to beat its signature move, Lagoo, but you just have to hit it with a quick double slap and you're fine. He definitely hits me out of my focus punch right here, so I lose my charge. I definitely thought I had the read on him, and I just went for it, you know? I did it for the culture, and I would hesitate to call it a bad read. I think at worst, you could describe it as ambitious. I would describe my playstyle as ambitious in general. I like to always play like there's a girl watching. The tree being back right now is definitely just emboldening me, because that's where Donkey Kong belongs. Belongs among the trees. And so do I. I think at this point this guy realizes that I don't have any switch-ins to Luigi's other signature move, which is the bean. Because he's definitely just gonna keep throwing bean, and I don't know how to deal with it. It's just, oh, it's so gross and weird and green. Not unlike my Poketuber penis. Horrible and withered from years of non-use. At this point, I'm not really using Donkey Kong to advance my game state in this battle very much. I'm just really using him to maintain the tempo that I already have, because I'm in the position where any plays that I try to make are really going to cost me more than they would give me if they actually work. And honestly, like, I would be fine with the Donkey Kong feigning now, because I've been looking at him for a while, and it's really starting to remind me of, like, how scary gorillas are. And I don't really want to be thinking about them, because gorillas are kind of the scariest thing in the world, other than trying to have a conversation with me for more than 15 seconds. I definitely was thinking all that shit about keeping a lead, but then I got even slightly bored, so definitely became time to force the kill with some pretty inaccurate moves, but that's the only way that I can really, like, break through the stall right now. This guy's definitely trying to break my spirit before I can break his wall, but joke's on him. My spirit was broken ages ago. I keep attacking, even through all the chip damage, knowing that it's not actually going to accomplish anything, mostly just to trick this guy into thinking that I actually want to keep fighting here, but make no mistake, I can't wait to die. I'm gonna go ahead and go into my this guy to start finishing the game. Named Can't because this Pokemon can't fucking do anything, but it's actually fine because it doesn't need anything other than the fear. So I definitely just added this thing to the team because, like, I thought it was cool, and I used it in the story because I thought it was cool because it's so pointy, and it's a dragon, and it's fire, but, like, it's not good. The cool Pokemon are never good unless you're Greninja or Lumineon. Everyone thinks they're the ultimate fun haver for going on the ladder and then using some terrible Pokemon, but it's like you're not actually having fun. Because this is what happens. You bring your thing that you think is cool, then it just gets its ass kicked forever. And you have to act like you still love it, even though it disappoints you at every turn. Basically like being a parent without any of the fulfillment. And with an unreasonably large and pointy son who's very flammable. I think I lost the metaphor on this one. So I definitely went into this knowing that I wasn't going to win the game with it, but that I just needed to get a little bit of a push with it in order to clean up with my sweeper. But now I'm stuck here, not being able to accomplish anything, and I obviously can't switch out into my sweeper, or I'll compromise the whole situation. But this guy decides that he's not winning enough, I guess, because he's just gonna switch up his strategy and just get a bunch of chip damage on me, and I'm completely unable to feign it over the course of these turns. Cause this guy's playing like a fucking cuck. Clay. Yeah, this is definitely AIDS, but at least I appreciate this guy using the new hat Pikachu that I guess they have to include in every generation now. He's using the trucker hat Pikachu, obviously, that they included in Winem and Dynam. I feel like it really expands on the Pokemon lore in a really interesting way, because like now you know who parked the truck above SSN that Mew lives under. It was Trucker Pikachu, just stopping on his route because he got some of that lot lizard lust. Pikachu just got confused by lot lizard. You see, it's not an actual lizard, but he saw Bowser and thought that's what he wanted. And I thought that's what I wanted too. I also thought I wanted to go for this flamethrower, but in retrospect it was pretty ambitious, and it does cost me my Bowser. More like a lame thrower, am I right? Please clap. Here she is, my baby girl, here to close the game. Yes, Queen. Slay. All the barriers are broken, all the limits are broken. We've gone further beyond, plus Ultra. Pretty much nothing is standing in her way. The game is hers, you know, unless I just completely fuck up, but you know. You know, the thing about Jigglypuff is that is that everyone likes the ears, everyone likes the eyes, everyone likes the curl, but I think a very underrated aspect of her is the little feets. Because, like, everyone says that Jigglypuff just looks like Clefairy, but Clefairy doesn't have cute little feet. Clefairy's got, like, gross, like, cankles. Jigglypuff's just the perfect organism, really. I don't know how anyone could possibly dislike Jigglypuff in this game of Pokemon that we're playing, the King's game. My original plan was to use the new Jigglypuff form that they added, where it's like the giant one with tribal tattoos from the episode of the anime where it fought the giant Gengar and Alakazam, but they haven't programmed the sprite into Pokemon Showdown yet, so like what's even the point? I bait this guy into thinking that I'm the world's greatest cuck by playing really safe right here with all of these protects that I'm doing, but it's retroactively cool because it was all just conditioning for a 10,000 IQ Mega Kick. So this Pikachu is on the ropes, and this game is in my pants, but I just have to fight every impulse to do a bunch of stupid shit that will lose me the game if it doesn't work, and won't even be cool if it does work. And I gotta tell you, my brain and my heart are having a real battle right now, and brain's losing. For Pikachu, a focused Landorus Therian would be the Pokemon to beat on Smuggin. But before he could get there, he would have to overcome a Winem and Dynam newcomer and a stubborn Jigglypuff. The best part of the Smash documentary is definitely that the narrator says every line like he's taking you on a tour of some haunted mansion that your deceased uncle left to you in his will, on the condition that you endure its horrors for just one night. You know, I gotta say, I pretty much had this game handed to me, but Jigglypuff is throwing it away right now. I don't think Jigglypuff is as good as the people on Smoggin said that she was in this metagame, you know? I think she's really the one who's letting me down right now. Because I'm the one who just keeps clicking rest trying to get her HP back from, like, all these moves that she's getting hit with for no reason. And she's the one who's deciding to miss all of them and make me look like a jackass. But spoiler alert for the thing that happens in 2 seconds, I just click Mega Kick twice and win this game. I think the Winem and Dynam metagame is really volatile right now, but I can clearly see where it has room to evolve. I'm probably gonna play on the servers that don't have loot boxes, but we'll see. Donkey Kong's the best Pokemon in the metagame. John Bennett and Patsy Ramsey didn't do it.